would and should the U.S. actually commit U.S. troops to defend Taiwan if China were to move?
You know, I think that this is such a, you know, I think that this is a, this is of course a very long-standing policy of the United States. And I think what we are hoping for is that we want to make sure that we never get to that point. And we want to make sure that we are moving in all of our economic research and our global positions to avoid any such confrontation and for that question to even arise.
What? What did she just say? I mean, that was a word salad to end all word salads. And she might run for president. Holy cow. Joining us, we welcome back Miranda Devine, my favorite New York Post columnist and Fox News contributor. And Denise. So, yeah, so AOC, she's really ready to run for president.
Well, I mean, she got applause after every one of her inane statements. So obviously there's an audience.
Including that one? A
left-wing audience for her. Well, I'm not sure that one, but certainly her ridiculous statements about Venezuela being, you know, the wrong side of the equator, and her story about how cowboys were introduced, horses were introduced into Mexico by black people and Mexicans and not Spain. So she's, look, I don't think, there was a funny article saying at least she's stupid, but I don't think, and J.D. Vance, who we just met, says he doesn't think she's stupid, but she just hasn't put the work in to understand foreign policy. She's not interested in anything except these quick grabs that are attractive for her on Instagram.
We have a picture of Venezuela, by the way. It's north of the equator, not south of the equator. Whoops, there it goes. I don't know if you can see that. And then she had another, then you mentioned it just a moment ago. Marco Rubio correctly pointed out that basically horses and cowboys came to Mexico and then to the U.S. from Spain.
Yes.
From Spain, okay. So she criticized him on that. So she didn't, she doesn't know anything about this stuff. I don't know what she knows, but she certainly doesn't know economics, but she knows nothing about foreign policy. Neither does Gavin Newsom, for that matter. He got bad reviews from his speech. And you know what? Trump had a good point. These people going overseas, attacking Trump and the United States, basically, really look bad. They really look bad, especially after Rubio's brilliant speech.
They look like intellectual and moral pygmies, which they are. And by contrast, as you say, to Marco Rubio's statesman-like speech, you know, it was still tough, telling Europe to grow up, stand on their own 2 feet, change, reform their ways from the mistakes that we all made after the fall of the Berlin Wall, in hubris, thinking that the Cold War meant the end of history, is what he says. But America has seen the light, and he's inviting Europe in the kindest way, our oldest and dearest allies, to join us. It was a very conciliatory message with a tough, you know, internal core, the velvet glove issue, and he got a standing ovation for that. So I think anyone who's really a rational adult will see that the America that's being run by the Trump administration is the adults in the room. And when you've got people like AOC and Gavin going in there, just uttering inanities, she's mouthing words and phrases that she thinks are important, like, you know, the global rules-based order. She doesn't know what that means. She said it, I think, it was 4 times in 40 seconds. She's really lazy. I think they're both lazy. They don't really want to get on top of the policy, and they don't know what their own ideology is, other than they've borrowed it from, well, AOC from Marx. She's always talking about the means of production and so on. It's scary.
So, given Rubio's speech, and he was very specific in many ways, you know, about the cult of climate change, for example, which ruined Europe's economy, deindustrialized Europe. They still have not recovered.
And Australia, by the way.
Well, yes, of course. I'm going to ask you in a minute. But also, he hit the UN very hard. The UN is nowhere to be found in any of these major, you know, Ukraine, Iran, for example, things of that sort, Israel. Do you think the audience, which Europe and Australia and who else was there, will they listen? Is it an impact? Rubio's had a terrific impact here. He's been a very good senator, at least in my view, and he's been an excellent Secretary of State, and he works with Trump extremely well. You can see that, and he's speaking for Trump in many respects. Will these others listen to what he's saying on growth and climate and energy and, you know, things like that, and immigration?
I don't think the political leaders and the bureaucrats that we saw that are listening, but really the message is to the people of these countries, to Australians, to English people who are fed up with the kind of rule that they're seeing. And, you know, they look across to America and they see the economic growth spurting forward, inflation down. They see that all these metrics are working and they're not, and, you know, we're now free of the climate cult at last. And the transgender madness, all the things that are still trapping so many countries in Europe and Australia, I will add, on both sides of politics. You know, the liberal elites, they are cowardly and they just stick to their guns. It took courage for the American people to vote in Donald Trump and took courage for Donald Trump and his administration to tackle these shibboleths. But they've done it. I mean, it's fallen. It's like a knife through butter. He has managed to just create enormous change, and it's all been all upside. Like the economy, look at it. It's easy. I mean, he makes it look easy.
He keeps saying we're the hottest country in the world, and he's right. Now, the question is, will they follow him? And when he spoke at Davos, this was a key theme, and Marco making the same point. Follow me. He's basically saying, follow me. We are doing this. The results are very strong. You can do it. You can cut taxes. You can deregulate. Develop a technology industry. Stop attacking American technology, which is all they do. You know, they want sales service charges on our tech companies in Europe. Why don't you have your own technology companies? But, you know, follow Trump. But they followed Reagan 45 years ago, somehow. At least some of them did. Germany did. France to some extent. Britain had Thatcher.
Definitely,
Cool. I don't know. Now Trump's making the same plea.
I think that there needs to be a new leadership class come in, and I think that Trump and Rubio and Vance and all of them in America's success, which is so important, 5% growth they're looking at, you know, the administration's talking about. So the new crop of leaders will be inspired by that, and they will win elections because the people will see a glimmer at the end of the tunnel.
Hope so. Hope so. Miranda Devine, the best of the best. As always, wrote a great column today.
Thanks, Larry.
AOC's licking her wounds. I don't know. She deserves every bit of it. All right, so coming up, rest in peace, Jesse Jackson. And I'll quote President Trump on this. He had personality and grit and street smarts. We didn't agree with everything he said, for sure, but we will talk about it with the great Alveda King next up. I'm Kudlow. Please stick around.